Today, I'm going to be talking about social media and how it's impacting the mental health of young adults all over the globe. In a study done in the UK by English researchers Barthorpe, Winstone, Mars, and Morin, they found that an increased time on social media leads to a risk of self-harm and other mental health issues. And sadly, they were not the only researchers who got results similar to these. Social media is destroying the mental health of young adults, and the facts and research to back this up are overwhelming. Social media is something that we can now access through the cellular devices that are either in our hand, in our back pocket, or on a charger. And a study done by a group of European scientists out of Belgium showed a direct correlation between the increased amount of time spent on social media, Facebook and Instagram specifically, to a lower and more negative self-esteem and self-image. Social media is constantly expanding and broadening its reach and harm that could potentially hurt young adults all over the globe. Social media is something that is, like I said, expanding every day, and something that is very easily accessible. Every single young adult has some form of social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and now TikTok. Two German scientists, Omezek and Bernhoff, combined 3 studies into one to see how much social media is affecting its users. In the first study, they found that the short-term use of social media overall decreased the group's sense of self-esteem. In the second study, they found that social media, specifically Facebook, is associated with a higher chance of depressive tendencies, with a huge concentration in social comparison. It is often forgotten that just because we see something on social media, like Facebook or Instagram, doesn't mean that that is an accurate portrayal of that person's life or what's going on in their life. In the third study, it was discovered that social media leads to a significantly lower self-esteem among the experimental group, with long-term effects. The way that we feel after seeing a post on social media, that temporary low we get, is something that could turn into a forever low. This study and the results bring us to draw a conclusion that social media truly does affect the mental health and well-being of young adults who spend a significant amount of time on these apps. Social media is something that we are now able to access anywhere and everywhere. With this being said, social media addiction is more and more common throughout kids and young adults in today's time. A study done by 2 female psychologists showed that depression and low self-esteem are both predictors of internet addiction. Social media is very prevalent and a common way used to pass time, especially with young adults. The internet is very deceiving and can often give its users a false perception of what day-to-day life is like for everyone. These students used for the study should represent students across America and the globe who are struggling with mental health due to social media being so unrealistic. European psychologists Sesbeck, Sensing, Nessie, and Haging completed a study on how when children are introduced to what happens to children introduced to social media at a young age. Not only does it give them worse long-term effects, but it changes the way that they develop. The toxicity of social media being such a big part of their childhood for so long introduces mental health issues and depressive tendencies at an earlier age, and can make these effects long-term and harder to reverse. We need to begin regulations on social media in order to prevent any further harm it may cause to future and younger generations, and maybe even offer aid or someone to talk to people who have struggled with self-comparison and self-esteem issues due to social media. The harm that social media is causing is reversible and something we can work on to eliminate. Everyone just has to work together and make social media a realistic and safe place. Compared to today's time, when social media is affecting the mental health of so many young adults, back then it was really hard for people to compare themselves to others because they didn't constantly see other people living an unrealistic life through the lens of a camera. In order to take action, we must implement some sort of regulations and offer aid to people who feel that their self-esteem has been diminished. Each audience member could keep in mind the things that they post and how they may affect people who see them. Everyone should always remember that just because someone has a bad day on social media, or never has a bad day on social media, doesn't mean they never have a bad day in real life.